Hi there, and welcome to this video on how to create recurring transactions within accounts receivable. In this example, we're going to create an invoice that we want to happen over 12 months, once each month. To do that, I first create the invoice that I want as a template. So I come into Invoice and Memos, and I select the customer, and then I add the line items that I'm wanting to invoice them for. In this example, I'm going to do it for software maintenance, and it's going to be for $150 each month. So once I've got my information in there, I save this invoice, and the status of the invoice has gone to balanced, and I leave it as that. The next step that I do is I go into receivables and I go into recurring transactions. We can see that there's one in here, but it's not active at this point in time, but I want to create a new one. So I hit the plus sign here to create a new recurring transaction. The first thing I do is I set when I want this invoice to actually start. So on the start date here, I'm going to say that we're going to invoice them starting July 1st. From there, I put when this is going to stop. Now, there's two ways that this can actually stop. The first one is it could be based on a date, and the second one, it could be based on how many times it's run. I'm going to do that this gets run 12 times. I then put in the schedule how often this happens. In this case, I want it to be monthly and every 1 month on the first day. I then come down to my document list and I add the documents that I want to actually be included within this recurring transaction. So in this case, it's going to be an invoice, and it's going to be the invoice that we created just a moment ago. So I'm going to go here because that's the invoice that we created. And we can see it's for that customer for the $165. So once I've got my information in there, I click Save and Close, and I've set up my recurring transaction. Now let's go back and have a look at what happened to the actual invoice that we created for the first time. So you can see here this invoice that we created, the status is no longer balanced, it's gone to scheduled. So now if I come into this invoice, you'll note that I can't release it anymore because that status is now scheduled. So how do we run this invoice? We go into receivables, and under processes is generate recurring transactions. And we click on that, and we can see by default there's nothing here because it wants to know the execution date. Now we said that that was going to be on the 1st of July. So I'm going to click that, and we can see the invoice has now come up here. Now we could actually do this out into the future as far as that we like. But once we've got this, we can then execute this a couple of different ways. We can simply select it and then run it, or we could actually set up a schedule so that this happens automatically on the 1st of each month. I'm going to do it manually this time round. So I'm going to say run. The processing window comes up and we can see that it's successfully processed one invoice. So let's go back to the invoices now and have a look at what we've got in our list. So we've still got that one that's scheduled, but we've also got a new one here that's balanced. So it's created this new invoice that's balanced. So as a part of the process here, we'll need to release the AR documents. So we could have gone into that invoice and done it from there, or we can do it from here, which again means that we can do it in bulk, or we could even schedule it. I'm going to do it just literally doing this one. Now, if we go back into receivables, into the recurring transactions, we can see that we have our active recurring transaction number 14. So if we click on that, you'll notice that there is a generated documents tab. So from here, we're able to see all the documents that were generated from this recurring transaction. We can drill into that and see the detail. And once we've actually exceeded the execution limit of 12, this will automatically deactivate itself. But we're also able to come in here at any time and deactivate this if we don't want it to run anymore. So for example, the client may have cancelled their subscription to this software. And that's how you create recurring transactions within AR.